Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, The Bucket List Mom. My name is Elizabeth, and today I just kind of wanted to share my experiences with vegetarianism and how I ended up leaving vegetarianism and kind of coming full circle all the way over to carnivorism and eating that way. Now, when I became a vegetarian, I planned to eat that way for the rest of my life. I was completely sold out on this way of eating, and I thought I was like right. And now I'm doing carnivore, and I'm really just doing it for weight loss. I'm not doing it necessarily as a way of life. So I know vegetarianism can be a touchy subject, and this video is really not meant to step on anybody's toes. It's not bashing vegetarianism. I'm just sharing my story, and my heart with sharing it is just that hopefully someone else might be helped by it, just by sharing kind of what I've experienced. So let's get started. So we were vegetarian for about 4 full years. Strict vegetarian, not a piece of meat. And everything that we have done diet-wise and health-wise and trying different things has been in an effort to find out what would work for our body and actually lose weight. And with vegetarianism, the weight did not come off. If anything, I gained a lot more weight, and it really kind of messed up my body, I think, a little bit more. And I do think it's one of the reasons why I'm as big as I am today. Just one of the reasons. There's many, but it did contribute to that. And so once we really started looking at, okay, we have to lose this weight, we really kind of started getting into health and kind of transitioning our family to much more like healthy food and different things. And so in the process of that, we got caught up in shopping at like Whole Foods and, buying all organic, and really got into health. And so I really spent the entire decade of my 20s reading books on health. I mean, that's literally all I did. I read every book there was at Whole Foods, and a lot of the books are predominantly lean towards vegetarianism. So when we were starting to really get into health, vegetarian just kept coming up and coming up. And so after reading just tons and tons of books about it, I really felt like this was what was going to make us healthy, and this was going to do it for us. And so we kind of jumped right in, and we were excited for this new kind of like health adventure. And I really don't love meat anyway. And so it was a very easy transition for me. I just don't enjoy eating meat. And so to not have to eat the meat was kind of like a breath of fresh air. You mean I can be healthy and eat this way without the meat? And that was just super exciting for me. My husband loves meat, so it was harder. I don't know how he did it for 4 years, but he did. He stuck with it with me, and we were even raising our kids in that. So we had 2 kids at the time, and my youngest one, my firstborn daughter, was I think about a 1-year-old when we started, maybe a tiny bit before. So it was really within her first year of life that we started. So for her first full 4 years of life, she was vegetarian, and so was my son, in between the ages of, I guess, about 4 or 5 through maybe like 8 or 9. We did vegetarianism with him as well. And I bought into vegetarianism like hook, line, and sinker. It started really bothering me that we eat animals. It bothered me how the animals are treated. It bothered me that the animals had to give their life, for us to eat them. All the things, it just really bothered me. I'd read all the research, how much better economically it would be if people didn't eat meat, how, just much better plant-based is for the earth and the environment and just everything. I done all the research, I'd read everything. I just was really into it. And so I do still feel that way sometimes. Sometimes it is hard to kind of break that mentality, because it does bother me to an extent, especially how the animals are treated. I know there's a lot of issues with meat, but I'm not going to go into all that on this video. So for the most part, eating vegetarian is not that hard. We did travel out of the country while being vegetarians, and that was kind of hard, because not necessarily a thing in other places, especially where we were visiting. And so trying to find the food without the meat there was kind of hard. But for the most part in the US, it's a little hard to travel. It's a little hard to do road trips and stuff like that. But for the most part, you can find things without meat in it. Whether or not it's healthy, that's the big clincher, right? Because you can eat a pancake and you can be vegetarian, but you're not necessarily being healthy. So we were never like strictly vegan. We were just vegetarian. It was just meat. I wasn't doing very many eggs, but maybe sometimes, but little things like honey and just different things. Like, we didn't get into that. We were not strictly vegan. We don't do a bunch of milk anyway, so we weren't doing that, but mostly it was just meat. And so we really believed in what we were doing. And for the first couple of years, we were really into it. We were really excited about it. We were really into it, even though the weight wasn't coming off. You know, we were eating a ton of like vegetables and fruits. We were juicing. We were making, you know, homemade fruit juices in our juicer. And like we were buying just a ton of produce, and we thought we were eating really good and that we were getting in a lot of vitamins and a lot of nutrients and a lot of things. So how did the change happen? What did we start noticing, and how did we make the transition back away from vegetarianism? There were some different books that I started reading that were really extreme, and I started kind of noticing some faulty thinking within the books that I was just not buying. And the transition though really came around when I got pregnant with my third pregnancy. So my first two daughters are about 4.5 years apart. And so I did my third pregnancy vegetarian. And even at the beginning of that pregnancy, I was really excited to do this vegetarian. You know, I'm going to give my baby the best. I'm going to be super healthy. And it was a very difficult pregnancy. It was probably my worst one that I've had. I ended up with a very severe anxiety, and I'm not going to go into all the details of that story now, but I felt like I was missing critical nutrients. I was really looking into what is wrong with me, because I was really struggling mentally and emotionally. And so having the anxiety and having to deal with that during the pregnancy, and then I started craving meat during the end of my pregnancy, mostly fish. Started craving fish and tartar sauce like crazy, to the point where my husband and I started discussing it, and I said, maybe I need to eat some fish. Like, my body is asking for fish. Should I have some? Maybe I need to have some fish. And so he agreed. Yeah, let's try it. Let's do some fish. And I was at the point where I couldn't even cook meat. I didn't even know how to cook meat. It grossed me out to cook meat. And so he cooked some fish for me, and I felt ashamed to even be eating the fish after having bought so much into vegetarianism. And so at first I was like, I was eating it in secret. I went in a different room and I was hiding it from my kids. I didn't want them to, you know, see me eating meat, because we had really raised them, you know, like eating meat is wrong almost. And now to be kind of going back on that, I felt like a hypocrite. But something amazing happened. I mean, my body was asking for that fish, and so I kept having more fish and more fish because my body was asking for it. What had happened during our last bit of vegetarianism is, I guess we got kind of like lazy vegetarians, and I think it's really easy for it to happen where you're not necessarily getting all the nutrients that you need, even if you're eating a ton of fruits and vegetables, and all of that is good. But we found what was happening with us is we were heavy into carbs. And so if you're not eating any meat, you know, I was definitely not getting enough protein, and I was eating all carbs. I mean, if you're eating a sandwich with no meat on it, you know, you're just getting all the bread. You know, if you're eating, you know, pancakes in the morning, that's not healthy. If you're eating cereal, if you're eating oatmeal, I mean, it's all carbs. There's no pure source of protein when you're a vegetarian. So, I mean, yeah, you can have protein powder, but even that, you know, you're trying to stay away from like whey proteins and different things. So even protein powders have to be looked into when you're vegetarian. And we ate a lot of beans. We definitely ate a lot of beans, but they're still a carb. Beans are still a carb. They're not a pure source of protein. So here I am at the very end of my pregnancy. I'm eating a lot of fish, and we finally decided, you know what? Let's transition back. Let's not be so extreme. Obviously, there's a reason we're needing to eat more meat. My husband was like overjoyed to put meat back in his diet, and my kids transitioned back really well. They were kind of excited about it, to be really honest. So what happened after that third pregnancy with my daughter, I actually ended up even sicker. During her pregnancy, I was getting gallbladder attacks, and I didn't really realize it. I've always had kind of stomach issues, so I didn't think of it at first until it got really extreme. And I ended up with an emergency surgery, actually. And so I ended up having my gallbladder out right after that. And I ended up having a lot of different health ramifications. But the most noticeable one was my teeth, actually. I have always had really good teeth at that point up until my third pregnancy. I guess I was maybe about 28 or so. And I'd had one like really minor cavity. That was it. So my teeth were always really good. And all of the sudden, I was getting really bad toothaches and really bad issues, and I went into the dentist, and I had like cavities in every single molar. I had maybe like 9 cavities just everywhere in my mouth, and I ended up with some root canals. I ended up with some crowns on my teeth. My mouth was just a complete mess, and I thought, what the heck happened, you know? And so I started researching, what do I need to do to heal my teeth? Because I was really into health stuff, and I'd always heard, you know, there was things you could do to like reverse a cavity. It's really hard, by the way. I think it can be done, but it's really hard. And mine were kind of past the point of that. And what I found once I was studying that was I was eating the exact opposite way of what I should be eating for my teeth to be strong and healthy and good teeth. And I thought, well, if this diet of vegetarianism isn't healthy for my teeth and my teeth are literally breaking and cracking and crumbling out of my mouth, like, what is it doing to the rest of my body? That was where I was okay with leaving vegetarianism behind. I still have issues with eating animals. I still have issues with the way they're treated. I wish I could just eat a plant-based diet. I don't enjoy the meat that much, but my health has very much improved and I'm not getting continual teeth issues. What's interesting is that my firstborn daughter, who was age 1 to 4 or 5 whenever she was a vegetarian, she has the worst teeth of any of my kids. She's the one that just has teeth issues, and she always asks me, Mom, why is it me? Why do I have so many teeth issues? Why do I always have to go in for all this stuff? And I really do believe it's because at such a young formative age, when her teeth were forming like that we had her as a vegetarian. And I've had to apologize to her and I've had to tell her what I think it is. So I am thankful. I'm thankful we kind of found our way back from it. I'm thankful that we kind of notice the error of our ways. And if you are a vegetarian, you know, this isn't to bash anybody's belief system or bash the way they're eating. If you're able to do it healthy and you're not having the same issues that we were, then more power to you. It's not to be critical. It's really just to share, you know, what our experience was like, and that's what it's been like. And so going back to eating meat was hard. The first time I ate chicken, it was very odd. It was very hard chewing it. The sensation of chewing was very odd, having the meat in my mouth and learning to chew it. And my jaws even had to like kind of work back up to being able to chew it. They would get tired, but eventually that does go away. You get used to it again. And so for quite a few years in there, we have just eaten normal, healthy, including meat, including all the food groups. And I really do believe that is the best and healthiest way to eat. I don't really like extreme diets, and my kids are on a really balanced diet of healthy food. As you saw, if you watched my video with my fridge, you saw everything in there that they're eating. But we ended up on this carnivore because my husband really started researching it and looking into a way of what was going to work for him to lose weight. He came upon carnivorism, and he did a lot of research, just like we did with vegetarianism before he became a carnivore, but it has worked extremely different for him than it did being a vegetarian. As soon as he was eating all meat, he just started losing weight rapidly. And so it really has been something that has absolutely like healed his body and healed his weight problem. Even though meat is hard for me to eat, finally I jumped on board after about 9 months because I just couldn't deny his results anymore and know that I need to have the same results for myself. And so my weight loss so far is going a little bit slower than his did, which, you know, men lose weight faster, so that's okay. But I am losing the weight and it is working. Hunger is not an issue. It was on the vegetarian diet. Hunger was an issue a lot when you're just eating a lot of vegetables and stuff. It's not very filling. So I did have a lot of trouble getting full being a vegetarian. I don't have that same issue being a carnivore. And so we knew we needed to do something. We knew we needed to do something for our health, to decrease our risk factors. When you're so overweight, you know, you have a lot of health implications from that, especially as you age, and we thought we need to get this taken care of. And so that's how we kind of made the transition from being vegetarians for 4 years to now being carnivores. I do not intend to do the carnivore diet for 4 full years. I do not intend to do that at all. So I am giving it about a year and a half maybe, and I'm hoping to be at my goal weight. I really hope to be under the 2-year mark and back to eating kind of a more balanced diet. But it is helping me learn how to put more protein into my diet and how to make sure I'm getting enough protein. And so when I start adding some different things back in, they won't necessarily take the place of protein. They'll just kind of complement it, and I'll still get my protein in, which is good for my health. So I hope by sharing my experience with vegetarianism that it maybe it helped you or speak to you in some way. If you're doing it, you just really need to be careful and make sure that you're getting in the nutrients that you need. But so far, it's been like a really night and day difference between the two for us. We definitely are favoring the carnivorism right now, where we're seeing the most health benefits. And I think we're much more so on the right track than we have been in the past. So hopefully this video helped you. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. If you'll subscribe, I have lots of fun videos coming up about carnivorism coming up in the future, as well as all my weekly weight loss updates so you can kind of follow along with my journey and see how much weight I'm losing each week and how it's going. And so thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
I start to sail along these ocean waves. Nobody knows how to find us. It's turning out to be a perfect day. I just wanna leave our normal lives behind us. So let's get lost out here.